Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of MamaBare. I'm Bree, and today we're going to be talking about magnesium and its role in pregnancy and postpartum health.
I'm here to stay with wisdom and warm flex like the
Meaghan and Lynae, thanks for joining us today. Can you dive right into what magnesium is and why it matters?
Definitely. Magnesium is the fourth most abundant mineral in our body. It is an essential mineral that we need in order to thrive, and our bodies do not make it. So the only way to get magnesium is through food or supplementation.
Yeah, it's very hard to get it in your food these days because modern farming practices means it's just not in the soil like it used to be for our ancestors 50, 60 years ago. So when a lot of people think I can get it from food, it's not that easy. And not only is it not in your food, but you can often cook it out. And when you eat raw, it doesn't actually absorb very well. And there's a whole process behind that, which is to do with oxalates. I mean, we can certainly get into that if...
Yeah, I guess like the big thing is that most people lack the knowledge on how to properly cook food. And if you look at what they call like nourishing traditions, it would be the way that our ancestors used to prepare food. And, they didn't have as busy lives as us, and they would spend, a lot of times in a household, there would be one person in charge of the kitchen. So things like soaking and sprouting and knowing which foods to eat raw, like Lynae said, and cooked. But we lack the knowledge in our society to do that. And those of us that have the knowledge lack the time or, not care, but kind of just like I'm always in a hurry. So then I don't always properly feed myself. So there's things like oxalates in food, like spinach, or a lot of leafy greens contain them. Whole grains can contain them in the husk that actually protect the plant from pests and different things. But when we eat those oxalates, there's a negative charge. And so they have to bind to something with a positive charge, which is often magnesium, and it can be other minerals.
But they have a very similar structure. They almost mirror each other. So they're a natural...
So when you have too many oxalates, they have to flush out of the body or they'll cause health problems. And they'll pick a mineral, often magnesium, and just flush the magnesium out of the body. So then people say, oh, well, then I'm not going to eat raw foods. I'm going to cook the foods to break down the oxalates. But magnesium is so easily depleted in cooking. There's not a specific number because it really depends on the cooking method and how long you cook for. But basically, the higher the heat you use and the longer you cook, the more magnesium you deplete. And so you just really have to know which foods to cook, which foods to eat raw, how to cook them, and then also 85% of magnesium is depleted through food processing. So even when we buy food that's been processed from a health food store, you still barely have any magnesium in it.
Okay.
And then on top of that, eating food that's not very good for you, say from the standard American diet that's already processed, that's not maybe necessarily healthy, a lot of those things can actually further deplete your magnesium, which also makes it hard because there's a lot of things that will deplete your magnesium, just living life. The big one is stress, thinking, being in your head. That just
even being busy.
Yeah. Temperature extremes. Physical exercise is another huge one. Basically,
Everything you
basically
do.
living life.
The stress,
uses up magnesium.
The stress one I'd like to highlight because research shows that when we're stressed, we deplete magnesium. So not like magnesium is needed for stress hormones and neurotransmitters. So when we're stressed, those are more active. So we're using more magnesium to create those to get through the stressful situation. But also our urinary output of magnesium is just higher. We don't exactly know why, but when we're stressed, we just dispel more magnesium.
Okay.
But then conversely, when we're low in magnesium, we have a hard time handling stress, which makes us feel more stressed. So it's a really vicious cycle when stress is an issue that really only a well-absorbed magnesium supplement will solve. Because if you're really stressed and someone says, oh, well, eat spinach, but lightly steam it. Eat some brown rice, but make sure you soak it and sprout. It's like, when you're stressed, you just need to start feeling better before you can look at any lifestyle factors.
So that's a lot of information and a lot of things I want to circle back to. But what do we know of the general population, pregnant or not? Are most people finding sufficient magnesium? Are most people depleted? And if so, how do you determine that?
So the World Health Organization estimates that 75% of the global population is deficient in magnesium.
Wow.
And that's not just a deficiency of a lack of food. It's a deficiency in first world countries because of our high, paced lifestyle, because of our addiction to processed foods and junk foods, because of our modern farming practices. So most of us are deficient, and Health Canada says that magnesium is one of the least consumed nutrients through food. So almost all of us have a deficiency problem, and most people also don't realize that we only absorb 30 to 40% of the magnesium in food.
Oh, why is that?
It's just, for some of the reasons like we talked about with oxalates and cooking and different things. So, if you say, I really want to get all my magnesium through food, you have to look at the values and basically quadruple it to make sure that you're getting sufficient magnesium.
So now someone is getting enough magnesium. What is that helping you with? What are the pros of magnesium? Everything. I know you touched on a few of them.
And can we circle back? You had asked how you know if you're deficient.
Right, thank you.
And that's a very important one because you can't tell from a blood test. So almost everybody will get their blood work done from their doctor, and their magnesium level will look perfectly fine. And the reason for that is because if you don't have adequate magnesium in your blood levels, it can actually be detrimental. Your heart needs it. That's your main muscle that would need magnesium. So your body will naturally put it there first. So only about 3% of our magnesium is even lower.
Even lower, actually. When we look at all of the magnesium in our body, less than 1% is found in our blood. The remainder is found in our bones, in our soft tissues, and in our muscles, which really you can't test for. You can't take a chunk of bone and test it for magnesium. So like Lynae said, doctors, the only way they examine nutrient levels is in the blood. And if your magnesium is fine in your blood, people think, I have enough magnesium, but that's not even showing 1% of the magnesium in your body. And if your body doesn't put it in your blood, you're dead. So, you have to have magnesium in your blood.
And there is a test. You would know more about that. But for most people, the easiest thing is just symptoms. And we can get into that, some of the main symptoms, but that's the best way. And also, truly just, even if you're feeling good, chances are you're low, and it's going to be good for you. Your body cannot build it up. It's water soluble. So whatever you can't use, your body dispels. So it's very hard to overdose on it.
Right.
It's safe. It's safe to try a well-absorbed magnesium supplement and see the benefits from it. But you did ask, how would we know?
Right.
So, we said a blood test isn't really going to solve it. So most people go by deficiency symptoms. And there are a whole bunch, because there's actually 800 enzymatic processes in our body that magnesium is involved in doing. And every single system in our body requires magnesium. But some of the telltale signs are muscle cramps. Magnesium helps your muscle relax. So if you don't have enough magnesium, a lot of people think this is a potassium deficiency, and it can be related to electrolyte imbalance, but most of the time it's magnesium, because there's just not enough magnesium available to your muscles to relax them.
Just to stop you before you continue with the other symptoms, is it magnesium an electrolyte or no?
It's some publications call it the forgotten electrolyte.
Okay.
It's not considered like a main electrolyte like sodium and potassium, but magnesium regulates the pump of sodium and potassium in and out of the cells.
Right.
So even if you have adequate sodium and potassium available to your body, if you don't have enough magnesium to properly regulate that pump, then you're getting imbalances in your cells. So in that regard, we would consider it an electrolyte.
Gotcha.
Which is one of the symptoms too, is bloating. And that's because your body can't sufficiently, pass the water through because of a magnesium lack.
Right. Makes sense.
Sleep disturbances is another major one, particularly, falling asleep can be a magnesium deficiency, especially because magnesium is needed to make melatonin. So a lot of people go to solutions like melatonin, but it's like if you need melatonin, it's probably that you don't have enough magnesium for your body to make it. But particularly nighttime waking and restless sleep are huge magnesium deficiency symptoms.
But will it make you drowsy? So some people are afraid to take it at times that they're afraid to fall asleep. So it will not, it just helps.
Can actually give you energy. The interesting thing about magnesium is it often does what you need it to do.
Yeah, that's funny. It'll help you with sleep, but it'll also give you energy.
So a couple things with that. Magnesium is calming. It doesn't make you sleepy. It calms you.
Okay.
So if if you're going to bed, you want to go to bed in a calm state, but you might wake up with anxiety, right? Or you might be an anxious person. So then you want to be calmed during the day. So you might take magnesium during the day, but magnesium is also responsible for the ATP energy transport into the cells. So in that regard, that's like Lynae said, it can give you energy.
Right.
So what we have seen, in many customer testimonials and in publications is kind of that magnesium will do what you need in your body. If we all have different symptoms of magnesium deficiency, right? So when we have an issue with a certain system, when we take magnesium, our body will prioritize that magnesium for use in that system. So it's like if my muscles are really struggling and I take magnesium, maybe my muscle cramps are going to reduce, but maybe I need a bit more magnesium to help my sleep, or vice versa, right? So it's like if I'm a really energetic person and I need help calming, magnesium will probably help calm me. And if you're a really low energy person and need some energy, magnesium might give you energy. It's just magnesium will prioritize the right use if there's enough available.
Yeah, sometimes it goes to systems that you don't necessarily feel better, but your body's like, oh, thank God, I finally have magnesium. I really need this again for a heart or something that you might not notice the symptoms as much as some of the other ones. Like restless legs is another really big one. Anxiety you touched on. Focus, it's especially great for kids, ADHD.
And adults.
Kids, well, yes, and just kids in general. Not even necessarily struggling with ADHD, but just it really does help focus.
It's really important for bone and tissue development. It works alongside calcium and vitamin D. And in that regard, it's very important for immune health. Most people don't realize that magnesium is needed for vitamin D to activate in the body. So you can take vitamin D as a supplement and it can sit unused in your body doing nothing until there's enough magnesium to activate it. And then the vitamin D will help absorb calcium into the body. And then another nutrient in there, K2, helps get it into the bones. So magnesium is a very important part of that process. And, it's important in adults as we age, but especially children for bone and tooth development. And
jaw structure, help to make sure there's enough room for their teeth.
What doesn't it do?
I know, it is the question. What doesn't it do? The other thing too, that we touched on with the magnesium distribution is the body will pull magnesium from areas like the bone and muscles to make sure that it's in proper amounts in areas like the blood, because it has to maintain that homeostasis. And that's also why we'll always see proper magnesium in the blood unless something else is going on in the body. But then we'll start to get the muscle cramps or the poor bone health, because the body will take it from other parts.
So now taking this back to pregnancy. So someone's pregnant, maybe they were already deficient, but it wasn't really affecting their life too much. When you're pregnant, as we know, your nutritional needs are
baby takes it all
too seriously.
And they don't stop.
So a couple of things that you pointed out draw my attention is muscle cramps is number one. We know a lot of women struggle with muscle cramps. So this is something I'm assuming that can help women. Is there anything else that comes to your mind that a woman has become pregnant and she might benefit from some of her symptoms by taking magnesium?
I'll start with constipation. I know a lot of women, when they're pregnant, they struggle with constipation, and magnesium will help draw water to the bowels. It will help hydrate the bowel, especially specific forms of magnesium. And so again, I would put that kind of in that muscle cramp category, that when you get pregnant, the baby needs, the baby's bones needs to form and everything. And your body knows, well, if I don't have enough magnesium in my muscles and my bowels, I'm going to be okay, but this baby won't. So it takes all the magnesium for the baby, and that leaves you constipated with muscle cramps. So an ionic magnesium citrate, like powder, a well-absorbed magnesium citrate, will do wonders for the bowel and the muscles in pregnancy.
And the physiological changes you go through during pregnancy, that is a stress on the body, and that just naturally is using up more magnesium than average. And again, the baby needs a lot. You want to give your baby a good start on life. Get them some magnesium. So there are some professionals that feel like the RDA is just enough to stave off a deficiency. I would really encourage people to do the research on how much they actually want to take, especially during pregnancy, because there's really no upper limit. It's really something to consider taking more than you even think you need, maybe split out throughout the day, because you're setting your baby up for a great start, and it really is important for you. And just start taking it before you're pregnant too. Get those stores up. Make sure you have enough to go into these stressful changes.
And to that, you really want to make sure your prenatal vitamin has the right form of magnesium.
I was just going to ask about that, the forms. And you mentioned a few
usually
different.
Don't have enough. Prenatal vitamins generally do not have much magnesium because it's just very hard to fit everything you need to
in one pill.
Yes, because magnesium can be a bigger molecule. For instance, one of our purest forms, it's 4 capsules a day just in magnesium, and that's all we can fit in there.
And often the forms of magnesium that have smaller molecules that can fit into a multivitamin are the less absorbed forms.
Right.
So, I'm happy to go into other forms if we have the time. We can always do a follow-up podcast or get in touch with us if you're looking for different forms. But, we would say a magnesium bisglycinate or an ionic magnesium citrate powder, which needs water to activate, are two really well absorbed forms that aren't usually found in a prenatal vitamin. But yeah.
Well, I was just going to say magnesium bisglycinate, but you can also get buffered, which has magnesium oxide, the worst absorbing kind, only about 4% absorbs,
Okay.
or non-buffered. So you really want to look for a
The
non-buffered.
magnesium supplementation is complicated.
And there needs to be a chart.
Yeah.
There needs to be what the form is, how it helps, how much to take, when to take it.
And we do
Does
have
this
a lot
exist?
of
we have some.
we have a lot of
some, yeah.
information.
Maybe
on
we
our
can
website.
attach a link to this chart. So
Yeah, for sure.
So you
and
can,
and not to do this plug, but I'm going to do it. If you follow ITL Health on Instagram or Facebook, there's a lot of magnesium education that you can learn a bit more. But before we get too off topic, I want to also preeclampsia, which is
Yes, I've
a
heard.
condition in pregnancy. There are several research studies that show that magnesium can help that condition or, keep it completely at bay if you have sufficient
Amazing.
magnesium levels. It's magnesium just in general for anybody helps blood pressure. So that's a very important thing
That's huge.
in pregnancy that you would want to take magnesium for. And magnesium also helps with blood sugar balance. So again, it will help with blood sugar balance at any age and walk of life, but we know that gestational diabetes is a common problem in pregnancies, and magnesium will also help stave that off or help keep the blood sugars healthy.
Right. So just to circle back a little bit back to, we were talking about the difference between supplementing and eating. So the person that's thinking, I'm eating enough leafy greens, I'm having some nuts, for as a snack through the day, what would we say directly to that? Maybe it's not enough.
Keep
maybe
eating whole foods. It's always good to focus on that.
Yeah.
You're not likely getting enough
Enough
magnesium
magnesium.
from all of that.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not soaking and sprouting those nuts and
Right.
lightly steaming those leafy greens. And
It's just not
And,
realistic.
and drinking whatever water is left from steaming too, because that's where some of it can end up in.
Right.
and really just knowing, your RDA your amounts per 100 grams or, measuring out all of that,
Right.
knowing how much magnesium is in there, buying organic because the soils will have more magnesium.
Can you talk
all
more
of
about
that.
the farming of the soil and why is that happening? Why was there?
They were a lot better at cycling through. So one year they would plant this and like say corn, and the next year beans, and they still do that. But they've also used a lot of different fertilizers and insecticides and just things that draw it out of the soil. But basically our soil has just been kind of destroyed over the
So
years.
the leafy greens were pulling the magnesium from the earth. Is that how it? Or
No, it
Because-
should be.
yes.
Yeah. If leafy greens are grown in magnesium rich soil, they will have more magnesium
Yes.
in them.
Right.
But if the soil is depleted of
Yeah.
magnesium, then
that's the problem.
And then when you cycle, some plants maybe would have magnesium to put back in, but they're pulling out, say,
Gotcha.
potassium. So by cycling it, they would keep the soil healthy every year with what they need, but they just don't quite cycle it like they used to. And they're trying to feed the masses, and
Right.
so they're trying to figure out this mix between
corn and soy and
and just figuring out, okay, how can we be the most efficient? Because if not, food prices go up or we don't have enough to
Mm-hmm.
feed. There's all these issues. I mean, at the end of the day, farmers are trying to make a living too.
Right.
It's
And
business.
Makes sense.
And it's important to note too that there are some nutrients that you can easily add back into the soil, like calcium, and also like calcium is easy to fortify foods. So often when you see like cereals and stuff fortified with foods, calcium is a very common one. Magnesium, it's not really possible to fortify foods with magnesium or soils with magnesium. So that's why we see more deficiencies in certain nutrients like magnesium, because you just can't add it back into the soil. And there are some studies that show that some foods aren't that affected, but others are like 80%. Like we say on average 30% less, but that means some foods are barely affected and some foods have like 80% less magnesium than they did 60 years ago.
Wow.
And your
Gotcha.
body handles minerals differently too. Calcium, you can reabsorb and basically recycle a lot of it, whereas magnesium does always kind of leave through your urinary
Right.
tract.
Hence why you can't overdose. Is that?
Correct. I mean, if you took
Or-
a whole bottle,
It's
you
hard to.
Yes,
It's hard
but,
to,
yeah. But think about even when you're doing a colonoscopy, what do? They have you drink copious amounts of magnesium to clean out your system.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
an unabsorbable form so that it just
Yes.
cleans out your system.
Right.
Yeah, and far too much. But it goes to show that even
Okay.
at high doses, it's not inherently
Yeah.
bad for you.
Yeah, short term. And Yeah, sorry,
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the only person that has to be careful is if you have kidney disorder, because
okay.
kidneys will filter magnesium. So you just want to, do that more under the care of a practitioner. But we always say just take magnesium until your bowels are comfortably loose, because your
Right.
body will dispel it
Yes.
through the bowels. And again, like Lynae said, one of our supplements, we suggest 4 capsules. Our brother takes 6, and
Wow.
that's, he's
That's
fine
what he
with
needs,
that.
yeah.
that's what he needs. If he takes 7, maybe then his bowels get a little bit looser. I don't know.
And
We can ask.
I've tried more than 4 in one dose, and it's too much
It's
for
too
me.
much
So
for you?
I will split. I will take magnesium in the morning. I take probably about 750 milligrams a day. I'll take a full dose in the morning, and then I'll take 4 before bed. But if I take more than that at one time,
It's too much
then
for you.
Yes, and basically your body just says, I can't use this. I'm going to dump it. So it's
Literally.
a waste.
And
Yes.
and there are different times in your life, especially if you pay attention. During the month of December, because of all of the Christmas stress and the poor diets and less sleep and everything, I will start to get muscle cramps if I don't increase
You'll
my
need
magnesium.
more. Wow.
So if you pay attention to your body, which we always encourage
Yeah.
people to do, you can tell.
And I'm sure for the person who takes it pre-pregnancy, they might need to increase during pregnancy, as you were saying.
Or somebody who's training for a marathon,
Right.
they would need more. So yeah, just listening to your body is huge, and something we don't do as often as we should as a society. We should be doing it all the time.
I hear all the time of new mothers or soon to deliver mothers that are nervous for that postpartum bowel movement. This is just ringing some bells that this might be very helpful. So
Yes.
postpartum, making sure you're getting lots of magnesium to help with those
Absolutely.
bowel movements.
And magnesium, there has been studies done on depression. I'm not sure about postpartum depression specifically.
Yeah, I wanted to get into this and how does it help regulate mood or emotional instability?
Magnesium is basically needed for all the neurotransmitters, hormones like sex hormones and stress hormones in our body. So, it's a essential mineral for thyroid hormones to convert them into the usable hormones, to produce cortisol, to produce GABA, to help with serotonin production. All it
Wow.
basically does it all. It's not the only thing.
Right.
It's not the be all end all. But if you don't have enough magnesium, again, maybe your body's putting it in the breast milk, to make sure the baby has enough magnesium, and then leaving you a bit depleted. And again, you just gave birth. Magnesium helps with tissue repair. So the body might be pulling some of that magnesium and saying, we need to repair these tissues, and leaving a little less for like your GABA and serotonin and your
again,
happy
the stress
hormones.
of birth.
Yeah, for sure. So, again, magnesium, I like to kind of describe it or think of it as almost like salt
Okay.
in a recipe. I mean, there's some recipes that if you don't put the salt in, like it falls flat, right? And then there are some recipes that it's like it kind of worked, but it's not optimal. And then there's some that it's like these, and even with the taste, like this, we need salt on this. It'll be way better with salt. So it's like that's kind of like how the body is with magnesium. It's not like the flour in a recipe where if you
Right.
forget the flour, like obviously the recipe doesn't
Yeah.
happen. It's not always the main one, but it's the helper. It's called it's what we call a cofactor. It's like the helper for those 800 processes in the body
Right.
that they need magnesium for. So it's not always really noticeable if you're deficient, but it's used for so many systems that the cool thing is that when you supplement with magnesium, you start to notice a lot of different improvements. It's like, oh, my muscle cramps are gone. My headaches are gone. I have more energy. I'm sleeping better. I'm
And
happier.
sometimes we hear from people, I didn't realize how well it was working until I stopped. And
Wow.
then suddenly it's like, oh, all these symptoms that gradually it was a bit slow. So I
Right.
didn't really realize how much it was helping. I ran out, I was on vacation, whatever. I stopped and realized, wow, this
Yeah.
is really making a big
Can
difference.
confirm.
Yeah.
And that's what you were
That's awesome.
talking to before about how it's not necessarily a test you take, but rather your loss or gain of symptoms.
Which I'm curious if you would be willing to share. I think you
Yeah.
have a testimony about
Yeah,
using
absolutely.
magnesium, right?
Yeah, put me on the spot. I like it. No, I did want to get into it, so that's good. But I'm so passionate about magnesium because it really did change my life. My husband would drink magnesium before bed. So he would drink a liquid form. So I'm sorry, I don't know all the forms, but he would drink it before bed. And it just became a routine for me to drink because I liked it. It's kind of like a little tea before bed.
If I may, I think it was a powder that you would make
powder.
into a liquid.
Sorry,
right?
thank you.
No,
Yes.
it's okay. It's just that
Yeah.
typically a straight liquid form doesn't absorb
Wouldn't
as well.
work.
So yeah.
Yeah, powder, and
This
it would
have
boil
been
up. And
Mag 365 ionic magnesium citrate, I would imagine.
I love the taste. It was just yummy for me to drink, honestly, at starters. But I would have terrible, terrible leg cramps to the point where playing basketball, my foot cramped so bad, my bones broke. It was awful.
my
I
goodness.
missed a year of basketball. I had to sit out. But I hadn't related it back to these terrible leg cramps I'd gotten. And through luckily, this had helped me fix my leg cramps. The other problem I had was I was terribly irregular, a bowel movement a week. Terrible. Didn't look at it as an issue because I'd done that my whole life, and I
And
was
doctors say, "Oh, that's
very
fine.
healthy.
Once a week
Yeah.
is fine."
yeah,
If
I'm
that's
a
your
totally,
normal, that's your
your
normal.
That's
Yeah.
what everyone says. That's your normal. And I'm a very healthy person. So these things didn't ring as problems to me, but I didn't realize that was holding me back and how magnesium was able to help me. So then coming in my pregnancy with my first baby, I had no cramps. I had no bowel issues. I had none of these issues. I stayed incredibly hydrated. And so it's really totally changed my life. And I just don't think enough people realize how deficient we are, because it's, like you said, one of these things, it's a small factor in a sense that you're not going to notice.
You
that
can live life.
You
You
can
can
live your
still-
life, but then you don't realize if you take it. And now I even take different forms. Now I take the powder that turns into liquid, or that you add water to, and I take some pills. So I'm terrible. I don't know it.
No, that's
all the
okay.
forms.
But I know we were talking, like, to your point, and before, we turned on the cameras, what we were talking about is there's a lot of magnesium supplements on the market.
Yes.
There's a lot of confusion. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that say, oh, I tried magnesium and it didn't work. And, we believe in our company, what we say to everybody is, if you don't notice that your magnesium is working, you're either taking the wrong one or not enough of it. There's unfortunately a lot of cheap forms on the market. And like Lynae said, there's these, what they're called buffered forms. So they add in cheap forms to make it look like you're getting a lot of magnesium, but you can't absorb it. And then people just say, oh, this didn't work for me. So it's really important to understand what you're taking, understand the form, and buy from a company who's willing to help you understand that and selling pure magnesium, not these buffered cheap forms, because that really is the only way you'll really notice a difference. And again, if you try a magnesium, or if you've tried a magnesium supplement in the past and you say, yeah, it didn't do anything, I mean, it does something for almost everybody we've spoken to.
And there are some forms that naturally absorb better than others. So you might have a form that's not inherently bad, but it might not be absorbing as well as another form that would just, your body can utilize it more.
And we're all individuals, so some
I was just
people
gonna
do
say-
better with one form than another.
Right. And I'm sure you have resources or references that you can and view to see which one might work best for you, correct?
Yes. Yeah,
Or is it
definitely.
more trial and error?
It's everything. We encourage people to look at why they want to take magnesium. And like, first of all, I always say, number one, the medium that you take it. Because like you've mentioned, pills and a powder, right?
Right.
Some people just don't want to make a drink, and they
Right.
don't, and if they don't want to do that, then we would then why buy a powder? Because it'll
Yeah.
just sit in your cupboard. Some people can't swallow pills. They're not tiny. They're not massive, but they're not tiny. So, looking at that, but then also looking at the health benefits that you want. There are some forms that are a bit more popular for something like sleep. So we have all magnesium, if it's well absorbed, will help for sleep, because we know that magnesium helps us sleep. But then you have a form called magnesium bisglycinate, which is a very popular form. It's magnesium attached to the amino acid glycine, and glycine also helps sleep. So it's a bit of a stronger magnesium option for sleep. The ionic magnesium citrate, it will still help you sleep because it's a well-absorbed magnesium, but it doesn't have that additional amino acid to help you sleep.
Right.
So they'll both help you sleep, but if sleep is your main target, you say, I need magnesium to help me sleep,
Right.
then we would say start with that one. Try that one first and
sense.
see how you like it. So
And on the flip side, if bowel issues are a struggle, we might say, okay, don't use magnesium bisglycinate because it bypasses the gastrointestinal system. So it won't necessarily, if you take too much, it can loosen your stools, but it won't work quite as well as, say, a citrate.
yeah, the magnesium bisglycinate will still help relax muscles, but it doesn't draw water to the bowels.
Right.
So again, and some people need that too, because some people say, oh, I've heard magnesium can, upset your bowels or make you go more. And if they already have loose bowels, they don't want to take anything,
No,
right?
I have heard this.
Yeah, there's little nuances like that, and we always, if you want to send us a DM on Instagram or, look at our website, we have lots of articles that could just kind of help you choose the right magnesium for you. I
And
would
you
say
can always
bottom
email
line.
us too. Sometimes people email, say, these are my symptoms. This is what I'm looking for.
Point me
and
in the
we
right
often,
direction.
Yeah, and we'll often ask, okay, how are your bowels? Because that's a good indication for us on where to guide them.
Right.
And for some people, it ends up being too, like, you know what, I think you do really well with this, half dose. If you don't want to double your dose, not
Right.
everybody wants to take half of the powder in the morning half of the capsules before bed.
Yeah, and even like I'll do the powder in the morning, and we now sell it's a form called magnesium L-threonate, which some of the studies show that it bypasses the blood-brain barrier and gets more magnesium into the brain. And because I take my magnesium in the morning, it still helps me sleep at night. It's not like it all runs through me in hours, but I find when I take the L-threonate before bed, I get a slightly better sleep with that than I would with not taking it. So, again, I'll combine two forms too. And you can totally combine two forms.
Yes.
I actually recommend if you want to take more than like 500 milligrams of magnesium a day, I recommend doing two different forms.
Right.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
you might as well because you're getting benefits.
Helps cover.
Yeah, and again, magnesium citrate. So citrate is a difficult one because there's a salt form that doesn't absorb as well. The reason our ionic one that you're mixing with water is it's basically pre-digesting in the glass so that your stomach acid doesn't
Because
have
it
to
bubbles
do the work.
up in the glass. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, so you're almost making this really weakly bonded magnesium that as soon as you drink, your body can use rather than having to pull it apart in your body.
Interesting.
I forget where I was going. Oh, yes. But so citrate is great for athletes. It does a lot for, again, all magnesium helps for muscles, but you would know a little bit more about what the actual citrate.
Yeah, it's just the magnesium citrate is just better at hydrating the muscles and the bowels than the magnesium bisglycinate because they're absorbed through different pathways.
So this was the citrate?
Yes, the ionic citrate powder. Right. So because they're absorbed through different pathways, if you're really, and if your issue is muscle cramps and like you said with irregularity in bowels, then you totally took the right one because that one, the absorption pathway is helping hydrate those muscles. And then also something like the ionic magnesium citrate, citric acid in and of itself, which is what magnesium is attached to, magnesium citrate, magnesium and citric acid, helps with physical stamina and muscle recovery. So again, you can't go wrong as long as you're taking a well-absorbed form from a reputable company, but then, you can get a bit more nuanced into the right form for you.
So no going to Walmart for your supplementation.
And I would say, for pregnancy, since we're talking about that in postpartum, the Mag 365 is a really good choice. Is
that the pill form?
No, that's the powder.
That is the powder.
The pill form would be fine, the magnesium bisglycinate, but because of the irregularity in pregnancy and the muscle cramps, I would highly recommend the first try for pregnant and lactating women, the Mag 365. But if you don't want to take a drink, the pills are fine.
I wanted to branch to that. So for a breastfeeding woman, it can help with that breastfeeding woman. It can help with her hydration then because you touched on it briefly. And so that would be the Mag 365 would help.
Yes. So any magnesium would, but with the Mag 365 helping hydrate the muscles.
Gotcha.
It's a really good choice. Like we talked about, it's kind of the forgotten electrolyte.
Right.
It can help with the water imbalance in the body. A lot of pregnant and lactating women get bloated or have water retention, so it helps with that balance.
Do you have to eat when you're eating magnesium? When you're taking magnesium?
You don't have to.
Have it on an empty stomach.
You can have it on an empty
stomach. So I
stomach.
can drink my 365 empty stomach, no problem.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Basically, whatever works best with your lifestyle. It probably slightly absorbs better with food. Or is it on an empty stomach? I'm thinking BF. We have a great one that has a lot of cofactors, which
we take that one.
Probably the one I would also recommend for pregnant.
That's the bone formula,
women.
correct?
Yes, yeah. And that's the ideal one with pregnancy.
It's calcium in it. Is that why?
We do have one with calcium. Most women of childbearing age don't necessarily need the one with calcium. Right. So the pink one is the same formula without calcium, but it's got a lot of great cofactors for hormone support, immune support, bone support. Even without the calcium, it's using the K2 to draw the calcium from the places it shouldn't be, bringing it into the bones and teeth and helping to dispel any extra, because a lot of foods are fortified with calcium. We get a lot of calcium, and a lot of us actually have an excess of calcium that needs to be flushed out.
And think of the BF as like a magnesium plus. So you get a full dose of magnesium. That's what we're really targeting here. But for just a couple extra dollars, you get all of these extra nutrients that are going to help mom and baby's skeletal development.
Bree, can we go back to your pregnancy? Because I thought I had remembered you saying that you actually started cramping during pregnancy. And
a little bit, yeah. Yeah, I had started and realized we weren't taking enough.
Yeah. So and did you change your dosage, or was that?
I think, we upped the dosage significantly, actually. Yes. We weren't taking even close to what we thought was the required amount. Gotcha. And actually, to go back to the I always forget the 365, I was not taking enough of that either. So we just, like you said, started. So we just use a teaspoon, and we slowly did a little bit more each night until, like you said, there's
You're
signs
at
there's
your-
too much. And I was taking maybe like a fraction of what I take now. Now I can take 2 heaping, like
Yes.
tablespoons almost, and I can handle that much. I think I run seriously deficient. I don't know if this is a thing, but I crave it. Like I crave to take the magnesium, like not as a pregnancy thing, but I like, if I don't have it, I can feel I don't have it.
But I think that's a great sign because it's like, you know, we were camping
Yes.
and we didn't have a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables,
Yes.
and then your body
I
craves
need it.
that, right?
I
So I
feel-
think it's a sign that your body's like, I'm not right until I
Yes.
have this health
Yeah.
benefit here.
It's
the
funny
more you
because
listen
we've
to
been
your
on a
body.
crazy health journey. We've changed so many things in our lives. And this is the one thing I can confidently say has impacted both our lives, my husband and I. And if we go without it, like you said, we can tell there's certain things that right away, my bowel, when we were camping, I did not bring my supplements. My bowels got thrown off. I had a panic attack in the night. There's many things that start to go off with my life. I did have a small foot cramp when we got back. So there's all these different things that I think magnesium, specifically for me being a breastfeeding mother, that I likely already struggled with prior. And now that, you know, I have a child and
Your
I'm
life is
breastfeeding,
busier,
I
yours
need
more stressful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And-
And stressful. That's absolutely right.
And on that note, I would imagine we have some listeners whose children have already started to grow or who have older children. And as soon as they're on solids, it's never too early to give them magnesium. We have a kids formula that has some of those cofactors, the K2, the vitamin D,
How do
the
you give that?
calcium. It's a powder as well.
Oh,
So you just make it
cool.
into a drink for the child. It's
did
flavored.
not
Most
know
of them
that.
like it. We have
It's
to
not,
label it.
not,
Sorry, go
not
ahead.
too young.
No, we have to label it ages 4 and up
Okay.
because Health Canada has only done research into 4 years old and up, but in Europe they've done research into 2 and up.
Oh, nice.
So we can label the same formula 2 and up. I gave my boys it from 1 and up.
Wow.
Basically, as soon as they were on solids. And a really quick, interesting story is my youngest suffered from something called breath holding spells, which is a normal but rare nervous system condition where they get so upset when they cry that they can't calm themselves. They stop breathing, they turn purple, they faint, and then they come to immediately.
no.
But the scare for me was always that he would clunk over, right? They
Yes,
faint,
that's
they bump their
terrible.
head. And it was happening several times a day
Oh my
when my
goodness.
youngest was around 1 year old. And I trained his 2 older brothers who were only like 3 and 4 to always go behind him, because when I wasn't in the room, you'd hear them crying and then they would stop crying and you thought they stopped
Oh my
crying, but really they were
goodness.
just passing out. So it was so stressful, made me need extra magnesium too. It was also, you know, I had 3 close together. I wasn't really consistent with magnesium.
Right.
And so I started to be very consistent with that kids formula every day. It cut those breath holding spells from several a day to once a week to not at all.
Wow.
And then same camping trip, I didn't bring any with me. He hadn't had a breath holding spell in months. On day 4, he had a breath holding
Of
spell.
course.
So, you know, it was
Crazy.
just a huge testament to how much his nervous system needed that magnesium to keep those neurotransmitters regulated.
Amazing.
And in Europe, I believe it's actually 6 months and up.
Really?
But of course, we have all the cofactors, but you can always give a young child just the straight magnesium.
Amazing.
Also, in Europe, it's magnesium is 6 months and up, but the cofactors might be 2 and up.
Yeah, you can actually find all the cofactors separately researched, and like there's RDAs for all of them, but it becomes really it boils down to insurance and all these different things. Nobody necessarily wants to label
Right.
it for young children. So I mean, everybody needs to do their due diligence, do the research, see what they feel comfortable
Right.
with. But you can find the RDA for all of these things
Amazing.
for
And,
young
and
children.
especially we touched on it a bit, but the addition of the K2 in that formula, which is also in the BF formula that you take, that we recommended for pregnant women. K2 is an extremely deficient vitamin in our diets, and it's extremely important for bone and tooth development. And adults barely get enough, and kids like never get enough because it's found only in grass-fed meats, properly aged cheeses like brie and Gouda, and fermented foods like natto, which is a Japanese fermented
Pate.
soybean, pate
Wow.
liver meats. You know, the egg yolks, the butter of cows or chickens that are actually pasture raised, which is very hard
Yes.
to find in general, especially in Canada with our climate.
And even if it's grass fed, but corn finished, studies show that last few weeks on corn
Yeah.
will deplete most
It
of
has
the
to be
K2 from the meat.
it has to be grass fed until the day it's slaughtered. So that K2 is a really important nutrient for bone and tooth development in children.
Amazing. I just wanted to go back quickly to our experience. I feel like we are very lucky, my husband and I, in that we are so close to you, being my husband's family, my husband's cousins. So we are super lucky to have such close proximity to this knowledge. And even so, I clearly don't know everything, but we are so
lot to
close
learn.
that we are able to, have the knowledge. Can we go back to you guys a little bit and how you got into all of this a little bit, maybe some anecdotes or what you do for the company and what sets ITL Health apart?
Yeah, it's a family business. It was started by our father, who is a visionary through and through. And there was actually a very similar product that is well known in the market called Natural Calm. And he started to distribute it in Europe. He saw a need. He saw how much magnesium had helped all of us and wanted to give it to the Europeans because it just wasn't there. Did a lot of work getting the product set up and distributed and selling. And then they came to him and said, you know what, we don't think we want to do Europe. So he got permission to make his own formula, which is how Mag 365 came about.
Wow.
So we first focused on Europe because we had already had a lot of trajectory there. But his goal was always to have his own manufacturing facility here in Sarnia, Ontario, where we live. So he was doing his own thing, had his fingers in a lot of cookie jars. He has a homeless shelter. He's a computer programmer. So in 2017, I came on. The two of us worked hard.
The kind of funny anecdote of why she came on is because my dad was running the business completely on his own.
Yeah.
And my mom said, if you ever got in a tragic accident or, had a heart attack and didn't wake up, nobody would know what to do with this
Right.
business.
Yes.
So we need to spread the knowledge.
Yes.
We need another employee that, it's kind of, it's funny. Thankfully, he's still alive and healthy with us, but that was kind of the sentiment that my mom was like, we need to make sure that we do more.
And the
here.
timing worked out well. My youngest was heading it was very important for me to stay home with the kids when they were young, but my youngest was heading to kindergarten. So it was the perfect time to kind of get involved. The two of us were slugging away, and then it gets to the point where, my dad could bring it here, and then the two of us could bring it here, but then we got too busy, and then Meaghan came on after her last mat leave. And that was, what year did you come on?
I came on at the end of 2019, and then we officially came on as owners in 2020.
Yes. And then COVID hit the month we signed the paperwork on our own manufacturing facility.
I didn't know all of this.
Yeah.
We were planning on launching in Canada in 2020.
Yes.
And like she said, we signed the manufacturing facility papers, and then COVID hit, and the industry.
Well, it was in a lot of upheaval.
Yeah.
We didn't really know what it was going to do, but because we were well established in Europe and well trusted in Europe, it actually exploded because suddenly everybody needs immune support. Everybody is stressed. Nobody's sleeping. Everybody is suddenly realizing they need to take their own health in their hands. So I think since 2020, we've seen growth in our well-established market, which is Ireland, 40% plus year over year.
Amazing.
And Canada, we've finally launched in 2022.
2022.
But
yeah, but it was
slow
a slow.
burn,
Yeah, it's
slow
always
burn.
slow
And
at
so
first.
now we're 200% growth year over year.
Yeah. Now it's
So
it's
now
been
you can
massive.
find us
Wow.
pretty much in every health food store, which
Wow.
is fun. And
Yeah, and actually our products are our magnesium bisglycinate, which we brand as Prismag,
Yeah.
and its sister product Prismag Plus, which has the K2 and the D in there to help with that bone and tissue development, is going to be on shelves of most of all the Loblaws stores that have supplement sections as well as
Amazing.
this month.
And Prismag is actually Ireland's number one selling supplement in all health food stores in Ireland.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, so
Congratulations.
thanks. It's kept us busy.
Yeah.
And I guess in
It is
terms of,
busy.
I think you asked what we do for the company.
Yeah.
So we used to just both do everything. And we used to have we would probably meet on Teams. I live in Mississauga, she lives in Sarnia. We'd probably meet on Teams for a couple hours almost every day, which was always fun. Just discussing business things. Sometimes it would kind of trail to personal stuff. But now since the company's grown, we've had to define roles more. And
Right.
sometimes at the end of the week, we're like, I miss you. I didn't talk to you all week. So I'm responsible for sales and marketing.
Yeah.
So I manage, with Ireland, the UK. We're launching actually a couple new markets, Slovenia, Hungary,
Wow.
and the Netherlands, plus Canada. So I just, manage the marketing and sales teams for those
Very cool.
areas. And then Lynae.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more boring. I do operations. As we grow, we need more policies and procedures.
Right.
And just looking ahead, seeing what might be a problem, and let's fix it before it's a problem.
Very serious.
Just kind of setting up.
Keeps the company moving
for growth. Yeah,
She keeps it moving.
yeah. So,
Amazing.
we started off with just the two of us and one Irish rep. We're also in the UK, a UK rep, and we counted yesterday that we have about 30 on payroll and another 30 brand ambassadors
Amazing.
who rep our products. So, we're helping about 60 families put food on the table.
That's
so that's fun for us.
That
too,
is really
because,
big.
yeah.
And can you speak to what separates ITL Health from other brands?
Yes, that's something we're very passionate about.
Yes.
Because there's so much magnesium out there, and every single brand has a magnesium, but we are the only company who is completely focused on magnesium. And this gives us a chance to make sure everything is science-backed, researched, best quality. And what really sets us apart is we are the only magnesium company that doesn't use any stearates.
And that's in Canada. In Europe,
Yes,
I think
this is
it's
true,
a little more
yes.
common in Europe to not use steroids, but it's massive. It's a massive thing that
What is a
sets us
steroid?
apart.
So stearates are basically a lubricant that helps when you create a supplement. It helps the machines flow better. So you
okay.
can make them fast and furious and get them out.
Gotcha.
Whereas we have
Slide
to,
through.
yes, we have, yeah, it's basically, ours is just a powder going into it, but it takes a lot more work. So we can't use an automatic machine. Everything's semi-automatic, which means it's all made with love, which is why it also works so well. So yeah, it's a slower process, but it's really important to us because basically, when you have a ring around the tub and that scuzzy ring after you have your bath, they say that that's pretty much what a stearate is.
The
Oh, I
stearate
see.
looks like pond scum.
Oh.
If you were to take one of our capsules and open it in water, the powder would just sink and dissolve. If you were to take a capsule with magnesium and stearate, it just floats on the top.
Gotcha.
So stearate, it is, magnesium stearate. It's the full word is magnesium stearate. So some people think it's a source of magnesium.
Right.
It's not.
It does sound like
it is
that.
plant sourced, but it's chemically produced. So that's where you also have to be careful with supplements because we also use what's called a Polulon capsule, which is made of pure plant material. And almost every other company uses an HPMC capsule, which is also made of plant material, but you need a chemical to extract the plant material. And so same with stearate, these sorts of things have become very accepted in the industry as normal. And stearates are generally recognized as safe. But we would say, it's not always the poison, it's the dose.
Right.
What happens, we know people who take 25 pills a day,
Wow.
every day, right?
Yeah.
We don't know how well this has been studied in these amounts. When you look at kind of that pond scum look, to me, when I think of that going into my body and trying to absorb into, my system.
It
There
just
is
bogs the
some-
system down.
Yeah, and there's some anecdotal evidence that it does kind of line your stomach and impede absorption. It hasn't really
Or
been studied
harm
well.
immune cells. Yeah, there's not enough information on it, but our kind of philosophy is if we can make it pure,
Absolutely.
why not? The less needed substances in our body,
Absolutely.
the better, right?
Yeah.
So that's a really big one. Our affordability. So for that purity, we don't charge a premium. So we are not more expensive than any other magnesium bisglycinates on the market that do have those stearates. We, the family owned, we really, the transparency and education. So we're very clear about what's in our supplements. We do a lot of education on the forms and, just
And we
really
only have pure
understanding the
forms.
breakdown. Yeah, we
So
only
nobody
have pure
has to
forms.
come to our company and research which one is pure. They know that anything they buy from us is going to be well absorbed, non-buffered, no magnesium oxide.
Wow. Amazing.
But like Lynae said, a big thing is that we focus so much on magnesium. We understand it. It's amazing how many supplement companies don't understand magnesium. And that goes for other vitamins and minerals too. It's very easy to source these from raw material manufacturers. You just say send me magnesium and put it in a capsule and put it on the market.
Right.
But there's if we go to a raw material manufacturer, you can say send me magnesium and they're can give you tons of different options. And you need to know which ones are the pure ones and which ones are the best ones
Right.
and which ones are going to
Because a lot of them
perform.
do have a buffered form, and some people, if you say send me a magnesium bisglycinate and they give you two and one's cheaper,
right.
you might just buy the cheaper one. And we have had brands that basically bragged, "Oh, we can fit so much in here, and we're pure, and we are not buffered," and we're like, the science says you're buffered, and
Right.
then they go back and say, "Oh, you were right."
Oh, wow.
So it really, you need, and as you can tell just from our conversation, it is a
Absolutely.
big subject and it's hard, and we're still learning all the time. And, sometimes we've been caught unawares too. And it's like, how did we miss that,
Right.
you know, during our research phase? And yeah, there's lots to learn. So.
Absolutely.
One small thing that's probably worth touching on too is there's not very many contraindications with magnesium, but you do want to be careful to take them against a few things. A big one is blood pressure medication, because it's it naturally brings your blood pressure down. You want to take it separately.
And you want to monitor your blood pressure. And I'll just quickly touch on that, because most people have too high of blood pressure, and magnesium is known to help blood pressure. So everybody, talks about it bringing it down, but it actually can bring it up if it's dysregulated. So magnesium just helps regulate blood pressure. So sometimes when people have low blood pressure, they're like, oh, I should stay away from magnesium. But we actually know of customer testimonials that it actually helped balance their blood pressure.
Amazing.
And blood thinners, they're typically fine with magnesium, except for the prescriptions like warfarin and those sorts of things. You should always talk to your pharmacist before supplementing with anything when you're on blood thinners.
Yeah. And when in doubt, just ask your pharmacist if you're on.
Your pharmacist will know more about the interactions than your doctor will. So we always recommend talk to your pharmacist.
Amazing.
And maybe one thing too that's interesting to bring up about magnesium is pain management. We have people who have gotten off of very addictive pain medication that they were addicted to from injuries.
Yeah.
We have somebody we know who has really bad PCOS. She takes 12 Prismags a day.
Wow.
And that helps manage her PCOS. So,
As a pain reliever? Or
yes, it can help for headaches.
Yeah, headaches is a big one. We didn't mention that as a
Yeah.
deficiency symptom, but headaches
I
are
wonder if
massive.
that's because it helps
Migraines.
with the hydration piece. And
Hydration, muscle relaxation,
Right.
but also it can be, the neurotransmitter,
Right.
the different things, especially
lots of factors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
and it's not the be all end all. Sometimes it can be structural or whatnot, but we have had a lot of people who have been helped.
Yeah. To me, I always say, if you have a condition that magnesium is said to help for, always try magnesium as your baseline.
Right.
Because if, it's not that expensive and it's so necessary for every body system. So even if it doesn't help that specific thing, it's probably helping other things. And you might need to stack it with other things, but you might not. You could have muscle cramps, headaches, constipation, and trouble sleeping, and those all can be solved with magnesium. They might not be, but try that first before you go out and buy melatonin and Tylenol and just try it
could
first.
help first. Yeah.
And a lot of
It's a
people
building
ask
block. It's not a bandage like a lot of things are. It's a building block.
and
Right.
you want to keep taking it. So we get asked often, do I need to keep taking it? Yes, because the body does not make it. We need it. And a lot of people ask, how soon will I notice benefits?
Oh, that's a good question.
So for things like sleep, headaches, muscle cramps, most people notice a benefit within one dose.
Wow.
So if you take that magnesium before bed, most people
Yeah.
notice, some people take a little bit longer. They need to get it in their system for a few days, but you should notice it within a few days, a week. But I would say most people even sooner. And then the only other thing is if it's for bone health or something, then you need to just take it long-term,
Right.
get it in your bones.
Yeah, and we have had some really great testimonials of people who've had their bone density tested before and then
Oh,
after
that's
6 months
cool.
and have seen a marked difference.
Wow.
Magnesium, we always hear about calcium for the bones.
Yeah.
And it is important. Calcium is very important for the bones, but most people don't realize how much magnesium is in the
underrated.
bones. In our body, I hope I'm not getting any numbers mixed up, but I think 51.9% of the magnesium in our body is in our bones.
Wow.
So that means, half of our magnesium in our body is in our bones. And that
Right.
our bones need a ton of
Yeah.
magnesium. And so
And like
they
you
need
said,
calcium
it'll pull
too.
from there first, right?
Yes, yeah. We'll pull from the bones and the teeth, the muscles, in order to get it into the more
blood.
And I
necessary
have heard,
places.
although I have not verified, that the big push for calcium was actually the dairy farmers
I believe it.
putting it out as a marketing gimmick.
Well, the thing is calcium is important. We know
Absolutely.
it is
Yeah,
important
yeah.
for the bones, right? It's just
It's
in
been
our
given way
society,
too
the
much.
narrative is only calcium.
Right.
Yeah.
There's more to
And
the
there's
story.
way more than
Yeah.
just calcium
and
for
calcium
the bones.
and magnesium do work very closely together. And so for muscle cramps, magnesium is needed to relax your muscle, but calcium is needed to contract your
Right.
muscle. So they're always working in tandem, but a lot of times it's the imbalance. We're all really
Right.
well stocked in calcium, not in
Yeah,
magnesium.
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we've missed anything, or
Oh, we've missed so much.
I'm sure we're gonna listen back to this and be like, we only glazed on.
Yes, but
just-
that's magnesium.
I
for
could
you.
probably talk about magnesium until the sun goes down.
No, I'm truly passionate about it because of how it's changed my life. And again, I think we're so lucky because of our proximity to your company and everything you do. But I just see such a big opportunity for getting the word out and sharing with the people that or in my personal life that I've seen a huge impact for. I think I'm the direct supplier to half my family.
I love that.
Who come get refills regularly.
And to that, like, we live and breathe magnesium. And so, like, when I hear not enough people know about magnesium, I'm like, how?
They don't.
How do they not?
Well, yeah, because it's such a big part of your life. And to me, so many people I know have no clue about this. My grandma suffers from a lot of the same things I suffer from. I chat with her, and I, share what we have with her, and it changed her life. And my parents come monthly to get restocked on their magnesium, and I'm sure they're going to struggle when we start telling them to go buy their own. So. But no, we can't thank you enough for coming on. I can't thank you enough for coming on and chatting with us. I'm super honored that you took the time to spread the knowledge. And
I think it sounds kind of a little glib to say, but we truly love what we do because of the lives that are changed, right?
It's true.
I mean, we love the business and the thrill of the chase, but hearing the stories and just knowing how easily people's lives can be improved by something very
so
simple.
It's so rewarding. Like this, like I feel like we hit the career jackpot. Like it's
amazing.
The opportunity to work with my sister and my dad is amazing. We have an amazing team. We have a great product, and I can say that, not just because it's our product, but we have worked hard to have a great product. And then when the customer testimonials come in, like, I cannot stress how much they mean to us. Yeah. Like, we will never tire of hearing them because it's why we do what we do. So yeah, we love that.
Where can we tell our viewers to find you guys?
Pretty much every major health food store, online, itlhealth.ca, itlhealth.com. Basically, ITL Health anywhere will get you. If you're anywhere in the world,
a lot of the online retailers too, like well.ca, Amazon. Just make sure if you buy from Amazon, it's from our store, ITL Health, to make sure that you don't get a knockoff. Healthyplanet.com.
And
all of those online
retailers.
Currently
no knockoffs, but it's
it's just a matter of time until they catch
someone
wind of our
tries
awesome product.
jump on your tailgates. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to have you guys back sometime.
Thanks so much for you.
Bye.